First of all, before I get into anything, I want to thank anyone that is listening to this, being it my first podcast of the sort. Yeah, I'm very happy and appreciative, so let's get right in it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Connor. This is the Unnamed Wrestling Podcast, where I'll be reviewing pay-per-views, possibly reviewing weekly shows such as SmackDown, Raw, AEW, NXT. I don't know if I'm trying to do all that, though. Maybe in the future, if this becomes more of a steady thing. But getting that out of the way, I will be reviewing the NXT Vengeance Day pay-per-view, which was on Valentine's Day, I think. I believe it was on Valentine's Day, because this was a play on words here. Vengeance Day, Valentine's Day, everything was Valentine's Day themed. Also a callback to Vengeance, old WWE pay-per-view. NXT has been doing a lot of that. They did the Great American Bash, Halloween Havoc, War Games. They do a lot of odes to past pay-per-views and past shows from wrestling history. Very happy that they brought War Games back the few years ago when they did that. That is definitely one of my favorite matches. Cage matches in general are just awesome, but when you add 2 rings and 1 cage, just imagine. So, first off, I was incredibly happy with the theme for Vengeance Day. I love Bring Me the Horizon, and I also love the song. It's Obey by Bring Me the Horizon. I actually listened to that song quite a bit. So when I heard that, I was pretty pumped. I was like, yes. NXT's always doing good with their music. I think they've had Day to Remember, they've had Code Orange, Asking Alexandria before, and many, many other bands that are in that heavy metal scene / post-punk, whatever you want to call it. So that is always awesome. I'm always looking forward to hearing what music that they've got as their pay-per-view themes. First, I'm going to start off with the pre-show. I'm going to kind of skim through this because I'm not sure if I want to do another pre-show review. It's just kind of the same thing over and over again with NXT. They don't have... I don't believe they have any matches on their pre-show. And if they do, it's not very often. And they're not necessarily worth it. Not that they're not good matches, but it's not... it's just not worth it. So, I'm just going to skim through this. There was 3 hosts for the pre-show. We had Wade Barrett, Bad News Barrett, I've got some bad news, Sam Roberts, who has a wrestling podcast, and then Brandon Walker, who also has a wrestling podcast. I was not sure who the hell Brandon Walker was when I saw him pop up on my screen. I was like, who is this awkward-looking fuck? I was just kind of turned my head like, did they just ask some random guy to walk on the show here? But no, he knows about wrestling, and he is pretty knowledgeable about it, so hats off to him, I guess, for getting on the NXT preview. Which maybe that has to do with Pat McAfee. Probably has something to do with Pat McAfee. But I'm not too big of a fan of Sam Roberts, never really have been. He's just so, like, robotic, and he almost turned the pre-show into like an interview. Like he's like almost like he's Mean Gene between the tag team of Wade Barrett and Brandon Walker, and he's looking up to these 2 guys that are like 6'4", 6'5", and he's like 5'6" or something like that. And you're just like, this is the weirdest looking thing. Where when you watch WWE pay-per-view pre-show, you've got a panel of people sitting on a like in a desk, like in chairs, and everybody's kind of lounging, looking at each other. These guys are just standing there stiff, like waiting for Sam Roberts to ask them a question. When, like, Wade knows what he's doing. Wade Barrett has been in the wrestling industry for a long time. He should just take it away. Just when Sam Roberts stops talking, just start. Just don't let him start talking again. He's not that bad, but he just talked a lot during the pre-show because I feel like Brandon Walker might have just been his first time doing it, so he wasn't really sure what to say. But they were talking about the card, and Sam Roberts says that the main event will go down as one of the matches of the year of 2021, which is Pete Dunne versus Finn Balor for the NXT Championship. And I can't disagree with him there. I am very excited, was very excited. I have already watched the match, obviously. Was very excited for that match. And we will get to that. But like I said, Sam Roberts just basically interviewing Wade Barrett and Brandon Walker. And then they cut to a video package for the Women's Dusty Classic, or maybe just the Dusty Classic in general. They kind of threw everybody in there. They had a lot of Dusty Rhodes quotes throughout the night, a lot of clips of him while he was in NXT, mentoring a lot of the young talent from back in the day, which was awesome. Anything with Dusty Rhodes I'm cool with, as always. So that's definitely always something I'm going to be okay with. So we've got a actual video package for the Men's Dusty Classic, which is the final between Grizzled Young Veterans, which is their second Dusty Rhodes Classic final. They lost the year prior to Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle. What was it? I forget their name. The Broserweights. That's what it was. Grizzled Young Veterans versus MXK. I've been having a hard time saying that. I don't know why they don't just... I mean, I get that they can't call them the Rascals because they were in TNA as the Rascals, but MSK is just... It's kind of... Say that 6 times fast. It's one of those things. So, MSK versus Grizzled Young Veterans for the Dusty Rhodes Classic. And that is to face the NXT Tag Team Champions, which are Oney Lorcan and I forget his name. Danny Burch. My bad. Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, who are sort of like Pete Dunne's, not lackeys. And they're not necessarily a faction. I don't know if they even have a name yet. But it's just those three. They did have Pat McAfee in the mix, but that was kind of an awkward situation. I don't know why he's not in NXT. They must have just wanted to do the one little angle with him and then be done, which kind of sucks, but oh well. All of a sudden, after they talk about the Dusty Rhodes men's final with MSK and Grizzled Young Veterans, we've got the hosts back on the screen talking, and I cannot remember what they talked about because randomly you hear a guy in the background just go, "Yeah." And I was like, what the... At first, I was like, what the fuck? Is this just like a production issue? Like, someone just called out to somebody and they're like, "Yeah." But no. The Yeah Man himself, Eli Drake, slithers onto the screen And I popped. I was like, no fucking way. Eli Drake is in NXT. And then he says, yeah, LA Knight here. And I kind of looked around. And I'm alone in the room. I looked around at all the ghosts around me and I said, what the fuck did he just say? He called himself LA Knight. They really made him change his name too. So first we got the Rascals, who are now MSK. No idea what MSK means. And then we've got Eli Drake as LA Knight, which, if you wanted to ask me what that means or if that's a reference to anything, I have not a clue. Apparently WWE filed a trademark for LA Knight, and instead of them filing LA Knight, like a knight in shining armor, they filed one for LA Knight, just with an N, N-I-G-H-T. I'm assuming they got it, but that's a little awkward. So it will be interesting if he comes out with the K or just an N. LA Knight. But as soon as Eli Drake popped on the screen, Wade Barrett you visibly see him just get excited. Wade Barrett used to be a commentator on NWA Power, and that's where Eli Drake was last year and in 2019. So these guys know each other very well, and from the indies. So you can see Wade Barrett being very happy that his buddy is finally on the big show, which is it's just always cool to see that type of thing. But he cuts his own promo, kind of putting everybody on notice. He said something about it not mattering what championship it is or who's the champion. He's going after anybody and everybody. And then he kind of drops the mic and just walks away. Clean, short promo. He's always had his promos in check. He's not stumbling or anything like that. So that's always a good check. So let's skim through here a little bit because we're almost done. We have the North American title promo package, which is Kashida versus Johnny Gargano. Johnny Gargano has recently, I guess it's been a minute now since he's turned heel. He is with his wife, Candice LeRae, Austin Theory, and Indy Hartwell, and they are the way. They are definitely a faction. They have a name, and there's 4 members, so that basically makes you a faction at that point. And the way has been making their way through NXT and pissing people off, basically. I don't know if I like Johnny Gargano as a heel or a babyface. It's a little weird. I like Johnny Gargano a lot. A lot. He is a tremendous wrestler, but I feel like whenever he is a babyface, I definitely tend to enjoy watching him a bit more. I mean, obviously he's a heel, but I understand the dynamic. Whenever Kevin Owens is a heel, I eat that shit up. Chris Jericho, Randy Orton, all those guys that are really good heels, I would rather them be a heel than baby face. So with Johnny Gargano, whenever he's a heel, he's just like that. He's that cowardly heel where he's always hiding behind someone, and that's just the type of shit I've always hated. Like Seth Rollins did that with the Authority, and that was it's just kind of an annoying way to have someone be heel and keep the championship. I don't know. It's just kind of annoying to me. Just my opinion. But Kashida is finally being a man. This is somewhat of how they're booking this. Kashida is sick of being disrespected and all this bullshit. Kishida is an amazing wrestler from Japan. He is by far one of the best wrestlers on NXT, hands down. He came in to NXT and they made him wear, how do I describe it? His attire is, it's like he's going fishing or something. He's wearing jeans, like some like pumps, and then a fucking tank top and a puffy jacket. It's like, what the hell? Who said, hey buddy, come here, I think this would look good on you? And it's just like, it just seems like WWE is very good at manipulating superstars once they get here into agreeing with their dumb shit ideas like that. Like LA Knight, MSK, let's change Kashida's attire to a denim fucking fisherman. That shit's so annoying to me. What the fuck is that? Like, just let him be. Like, Rob Van Dam. He was literally like the first guy to come from another company to WWE, keep his name, keep everything about his gimmick. Rob Van Dam isn't even a fucking gimmick. That's just him. And it's not amped up either. Like, Rob Van Dam is just Rob Van Dam when he's wrestling or outside the ring. There's very few wrestlers that get to keep exactly what they are from a company that it started in. A different company than WWE. WWE just doesn't like that type of thing. They change it constantly. They drop people's first names all the time. And it's just, it's an interesting topic. That could honestly be a whole episode in itself. So let's just move on from that. And then last in the pre-show, we got the NXT title package, which, like I said earlier, this could be, very well could be the match of the year of 2021. And it is an early candidate. I mean, it's February, for God's sakes, and this match is hyped. So after that is the end of the pre-show, and we will get right into the main card. So it starts off with a Valentine's Day / NXT themed song. I should have wrote down what this guy's name is, but the song was called NXT, Will You Be My Valentine? I was very thrown off by this. The fact that there was no video package or anything opening the show, which I'm used to. Cold opens are kind of weird to me. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's what they're called. But yeah, it just started with a mellow Valentine's Day NXT themed song. That was different, but good. I didn't complain too much about it, other than it kind of throwing me off at first. Right off the bat, I just gotta say, and I think I said this already, TakeOver is by far much more visually pleasing to watch than a WWE pay-per-view. And I don't know if it's because they tried to give it that indie vibe, or if it's just because it's NXT, but the music, they have developmental talent and family in the crowd, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if you're allowed to just buy tickets and go in, but that would be cool if that's the case. But they actually have people in the crowd. They have the plexiglass, whatever the hell that is, up. That's a little annoying when they start banging on it, but to each his own. TakeOver is just much better. Sometimes it's not, but most of the time I prefer watching a TakeOver if I'm really just wanting to watch wrestling. It's just more appealing and that's probably the best word I could use for it. I mean, they've got their own like warehouse, the CWC, for it. So putting that out of the way, we've got the first match, which is Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez versus Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon. And this is the final for the Women's Dusty Rhodes Classic. I am really liking Raquel Gonzalez. She is strong. She's using the gimmick correctly, in my opinion. She doesn't let anybody get to Dakota Kai, but Dakota Kai doesn't necessarily use, like, she tries to come off strong, but she just can't. She's too small, so she has to have that muscle there for her. And Gonzalez is a very good muscle. She's doing the job right, and I'm liking that. Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon are two of my favorite female NXT wrestlers, and just NXT in general. They have an awesome entrance coming in on the tank, and they both are wearing these like My Bloody Valentine outfits coming out, and that was pretty cool. They're always doing something like horror based or something like that. As far as Shotzi Blackheart, she's very into horror and cool stuff like that, so it's always really cool to see that. And then Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, who had already made their entrance before Shotzi and Ember Moon, they just come down serious, just right through, strong, into the ring. They show that they are they're ready for basically anything. You can just see it in their eyes. They are confident that they are going to win this Women's Dusty Rhodes Classic. So, starting the match, Gonzalez starts off against Shotzi, and it's just a destruction, basically. Gonzalez is the main portion of this match. She is the powerhouse. She goes through power bombs, outside work. Just Raquel is the main piece of this match. There's a few times where outside the ring, I believe she powerbombed Shotzi onto the floor, and then picked her back up and slammed her into the plexiglass. Well, she had to pick her up pretty far up and then kind of flail her into it. But just the power that she has is very impressive. But besides that, Shotzi and Ember Moon kept it going, always giving it back. Like I said, there was a couple big moves on the floor that were just crazy. Some of the women do much more dangerous things than the men, but are almost better at it and better at not getting hurt, because I think they just kind of say, fuck it, let's do it. This is going to be cool. The fans are going to like this. And that's how you create amazing matches. You pay attention to the fans. You pay attention to what the fans want. And what the fans want, if you give it to them, they will give it back. They will show the appreciation. And I appreciated that match. That was a good match. There was good wrestling. Shotzi and Ember did like a heel hook takeover. Like it was a double heel hook takeover I think it was on Dakota Kai because of her knees. They focus on her knee very much because she's obviously got the surgery on her knee. But from the start, it was a good match all the way to the end. At the end, Gonzalez just picks up Ember Moon and throws her off the entrance ramp. And as soon as I saw that, I knew, okay, Ember's gone. It's just Shotzi and Kai. And it looks like Kai and Gonzalez are about to win, and they did. Good match. I was definitely surprised. Not that I thought the match would be bad, but I didn't think that they would put the effort that they did into a tag match, and it was amazing. It was really, really good. I liked it a lot. I feel like there's going to be a heavy push for Raquel Gonzalez, but I'd say the match was about a 6 out of 10. It was a good time. It wasn't too long. Lots of exciting spots. I wish Kai was involved more. Like I said, Raquel Gonzalez was the main part of the match. Dakota Kai was kind of just on the sideline there to like aid whenever something happened, like a double team happened to Gonzalez. But yeah, good match. I would have liked to see Shotzi and Ember Moon win. Like I said, they're one of my favorites, especially as a team. So that would have been nice to see. Alright, and the next match is Kishida versus Johnny Gargano. Like I'd mentioned earlier, Kishida is getting his manlyhood. It's so weird the way that they do some of these storylines. It's almost like they are fast forwarding the way they did Shinsuke. They did Shinsuke real dirty when he got on the main roster. They booked him as a very strong NXT champion. He faced Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe. I believe he faced Finn Balor once. There's just so many guys that he defended his title against. And then once he got to the main roster, they just kind of threw him to the side. Kashida is definitely getting a push in NXT, but it's a weird push. Like I said, they're talking about how he's doing this for his family now. It's about pride and all this shit. Well, he comes out in a denim puffy jacket vest and jeans with a black tank top. And it's like, what? It's just kind of weird. But at the beginning of the match, not the beginning of the match, during the entrance, Johnny comes out with Indy and Candice LeRae. Without Austin Theory. Where's Austin Theory at? So he sends Indy and LeRae to go find him, and they're like, "What? You can't be alone during the match." And apparently it's more important to go find Austin Theory than to have your support on the side of the ring. So that's what just happened. So Johnny Gargano makes his entrance. Kashida makes his entrance as the fisherman. He's just Gordon's fisherman at this point. And immediately the match starts in a very strong catch submission style of wrestling. They just start going back and forth. I love this style of wrestling. It's not that I don't like spot fests, but it's not. They're not trying to wow you, but at the same time, it's naturally going to, because you're seeing the endurance between these two wrestlers, and you just think of how much they're doing in such a short time, and how insane that is. So I always like that type of wrestling, that catch submission wrestling. They go back and forth with pinfalls. There's one point where they ended a double clothesline, and that little exchange right before that was early in the match, but it was an amazing part of the match, because you could tell that the heat between them is high, and they were just ready to get at it in the ring. And that was a really good little exchange. And throughout the match, it was very snug, or stiff, you could say. These motherfuckers were hitting each other. There was a couple points where Kashida just stomped on Johnny's head like 4 times in a row. And I was just like, what the fuck? These guys are like, Kashida may have convinced Johnny to do a little bit of a strong style match with him because it was great. That's what it was. They were stiff with each other. Kishida, who had recently injured Johnny Gargano's arm, was focusing heavy on that, focusing a lot on his arm. There was one point Johnny countered on the top rope. I'm not sure what Kashida was going for. I think it was just one of those moments where the spot was about to happen, so they had to get on the top rope, and you just kind of imagine what Kashida was going to do. But Johnny countered it into a twisting 360 suplex. It was one of the craziest things I'd ever seen. I think Wade even said, I've never seen that before. I don't even know what to call that. But yeah, I had never seen anything like that. That was very impressive. Then at one point, they're going armbar to armbar. It's a back and forth. There was not very many points where either of these guys got a big upper hand on the other. Going armbar to armbar, pinfall for pinfall, catch wrestling. This is a very MMA style Japanese pro wrestling match that I felt like I was watching. Very good so far. And then Kashida hits a Spanish fly into an armbar. A Spanish fly into an armbar. If you don't know what a Spanish fly is, imagine a guy going up to the top rope in the corner like he's going to do a moonsault or a backflip onto the other guy. So his back is facing the ring. And then there's another guy that's in front of him. So there's a guy facing the ring, and there's a guy that has his back to the ring. And they're almost like hugging on the top rope, right? And then the guy with his back to the ring does a fucking backflip and lands on top of the other guy because he pulls him with him off the top rope. If I didn't understand, or if it didn't explain that to the point where you could understand, just look up Spanish Fly on YouTube, and it's one of the craziest fucking moves you'll ever see in your life. I saw that and I knew that this could also be considered a match of the year candidate at some point. So we had the Spanish Fly, which I believe led to sort of the end of the match. We had one more big spot where Kishida kind of fucked up Johnny Gargano on the outside of the ring, but he was on the ramp. And then Kishida ran the length of the ramp, Muta style, like Muta versus Hogan. And he ran the length of the ramp and kicked him in his shoulder, in that arm that he injured the week before. I really like that. Muta is one of my favorite wrestlers. Any sort of homage to Muta is awesome. I fucking love Great Muta. So, unfortunately, Kishida could not get it going. He kicked Johnny in the arm, and then Johnny retained. I, unfortunately, can't remember the end of the match, but it was a good story. I remember that I enjoyed the match very much in my notes. So yeah, 8 out of 10, I would say, with Johnny retaining. I don't think the feud is over. I definitely believe Kashida is going to continue to go after that North American title and then maybe win it WrestleMania weekend. That could be a very, very good possibility. Because it does seem like they're pushing Shida, but who knows? Johnny's one of those guys where they might just keep the title on him for a long time, like they've done before. So that's a big possibility. Okay, and next we've got MSK versus Grizzled Young Veterans for the Dusty Rhodes Men Final, the Dusty Rhodes Cup. They call it like 4 different fucking things on the show. They call it the Dusty Rhodes Classic, the Dusty Rhodes Final, the Dusty Rhodes Cup, the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Cup. It's like, just call it one fucking thing. I don't care what it is. I know it's Dusty Rhodes. I know it's a tag team tournament. Like, you don't need to call it a bunch of things. It just sounds like they don't know what to call it, so they're just kind of making shit up as they go. But once again, before this match, they have a great package with Dusty Rhodes quotes, clips of Dusty Rhodes talking about what it means to be a great champion, what it means to just be a great wrestler in general. I fucking love that shit. It's awesome. MSK, like I said, were the Rascals in Impact Wrestling, also meaning they had to change their normal wrestling names as well. So we've got Wes Lee and Nash Carter. Nash Carter's an okay name. That's a good name. But Wes Lee, you really couldn't think of anything better for that guy, because he is an amazing wrestler. Wes is... If Ricochet and Wes Lee had a tag team, they would be insane. He is on Ricochet's level as far as high flying and doing acrobatics of the sort. It's mind-blowing. But, like I said, Dusty's very prominent in this pay-per-view, just due to it being the Dusty Classic. It reminds me a lot of the way WWF had Freddie Blassie do those type of promos before the early 2000, late 90s, early 2000s pay-per-views. Really reminded me of that. But with the match, I watched MSK debut the night they debuted, and I wasn't crazy about it, just because I felt like they were too hype. They were too like in your face to be baby faces. They had that in your face style like their heels, and they have toned that down a lot. They're growing on me a little bit as baby faces now. I definitely would like to see them go heel, because I can see them being a better heel tag team. But before the match, the Grizzled Young Veterans cut a promo on the way down the ramp as they entered, which is very New Age Outlaw style. There's a lot of people that have done that type of thing, but that was the first thing that I thought of was Road Dogg and Billy Gunn coming down the ramp talking shit to whoever's in the ring, getting ready to face them. But the match starts, and Grizzled Young Veterans keep Nash grounded. Nash Carter's the one that starts the match for MSK, and Wes Lee doesn't get in the match for a long time. They beat down Nash, and they keep beating him down. And then finally, Wes Lee gets that hot tag. It's a hot tag. If there was a whole crowd in there, they would be going bananas. And he comes in doing the high flying that I was just talking about, the Ricochet style shit. It is incredible watching it. Some people don't like it. I do. He doesn't just do high flying. He does wrestle as well, so it's a little bit of a balance. He's a very good wrestler. They hit a great double team, Gibson and Drake do, on Carter right after Carter hits his comeback. Carter hits his comeback and looks at Gibson and Drake and says, "Fucking fight me." And you can hear it on the pay-per-view, and it is hilarious. And then Gibson and Drake hit the double team that just shuts it down. He just shuts down the comeback, and Carter then kicks out. Or no, Lee. I'm sorry. I apologize. Lee kicks out. I had them mixed up here. Carter hit his comeback, and then Gibson and Drake hit the double team on Lee. Lee kicks out, This was a good match. And the high-flying aspect of MSK with Grizzled Young Veterans being more of a ground-based team, very wrestling-based, was cool. Grizzled Young Veterans pulled out a moonsault. I forget which one. I think it was Gibson. Went to the top and pulled off a moonsault. And I was like, wow. They're pulling off all the stops to try to get the new boys out of the tournament and win finally, since they lost last year, but they did not. Right before the finish here, we have one last spot by Grizzled Young Veterans. They isolate Lee on the outside of the ring, and they hit a doomsday device from... It's hard to describe this. They're holding Lee on the outside. He's holding Lee on the outside of the ring, and then Drake comes through the ropes and hits the doomsday device on him outside the ring. I'd never seen it done like this, and it was an awesome way to do the doomsday device. I loved it. But after that, the MSK started getting it going. They beat down the Grizzled Young Veterans to the point where they could get the... I forget which one it was. Either Gibson or Drake. But they hit a spinning... like a cradled spinning cutter off the top rope for the finish. And I'd never seen that either. There's a couple spots in this match that I'd never seen and were absolutely amazing. So I definitely recommend watching this match. MSK won. Like I said, I have no idea what that move was called, but it was awesome. This is another 8 out of 10. It was just an awesome match. Can't say that enough. Definitely had not that I was surprised because the match would be bad, but standards, it definitely blew through the standards that I had for it. All right, and now we've got the triple threat match that I'm just now realizing I failed to mention on the pre-show portion of this podcast. This is a match that I am very excited for. Io Shirai versus Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes Martinez has been in professional wrestling for 20 plus years, I believe, and she is finally getting her shot at the NXT title. She made her return to make this a triple threat match after Toni Storm made her return to NXT to challenge Io for her title. During the introductions of this match, after the three of them made their entrances, Martinez just immediately goes after Io. They don't even get a chance to announce who's in the match or anything. They just start going after each other. And Martinez is a very, very aggressive wrestler. She's a heel right now, and she's a very good wrestler. Like I said, she's been in the business for something like 20 years. If you're in the business for 20 years, you probably know what you're doing. So, and it shows. So that's a big plus for this match, with her possibly leading the match. Even though Io is the champion, Martinez could very well be leading this match, since she has that skill and just cadence. Early in the match, Io is disposed of. She gets this happen to her a couple times. She's just kind of thrown out of the ring, and she just kind of chills outside for 5 minutes or something like that. And I had a feeling that was going to happen, just because triple threat matches are kind of weird. It's hard. If you don't do them correctly, they're just kind of iffy matches. Like, the best ones are from those ECW days with like Super Crazy Little Guido and Jerry Lynn or Rob Van Dam or whoever they wanted to throw in as the third one, Tajiri. But this was an alright match. Martinez hit a German suplex from a tree of woe position, which is where your feet are caught up in the turnbuckle, and she hit this hard. It was awesome. She hit that on Tony, and then Io jumps on the top rope while she's still in the tree of woe and hits her with a double stomp to the chest. That spot was really cool. It didn't feel like you were seeing a big spot just to get the crowd hype. It looked like they were all three just going after each other one by one. It was really fucking cool to see that. At one point, Tony goes outside the ring to clear the table to, I'm assuming, just slam somebody on it or do whatever the fuck she's gonna do. She clears it off. She just wipes off the shit off the table, and it just falls down. Like, it just fell apart. And then she just stands there and looked at it like, what? Why did that just happen? It was like, whatever way they put those fucking stupid IKEA announce tables together, it's like they just pop them in like Legos or something. It just fell apart right in front of her, and they just left it. I don't know why they didn't fix that unless it was actually live, but that was really funny. As they're outside the ring, Io starts climbing one of the scaffolding pieces, the truss scaffolding, which is probably about 12 or 15 feet, and she hit a crossbody on Martinez and Tony, and that was very ECW-esque. I remember saying that this was not like one of those ECW triple threat matches, but there were a few points where there's a few spots where it felt like, holy shit, this is the old school ECW triple threat, with those big spots that are just like, you shouldn't be doing that. That's insane. Not like high flying or flips. You're just going off of a fucking scaffolding piece. But Io hits a moonsault on Martinez and gets the W. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of triple threat matches, just because they're kind of like, it's hard to understand them sometimes. But this match wasn't like really chaotic. Sometimes triple threat matches are really chaotic and they don't make sense, but I think with Io being thrown out a couple times and having Tony and Martinez do their thing in the ring for a good 10 minutes with each other would definitely made the match less stressful to watch, if that makes sense. They definitely did that to keep Io looking strong. She's going to keep her title for a while, I'd imagine. She's not going to be, at least I don't think she's going to be losing her title around WrestleMania weekend. And if she does, it will probably be to Tony. I definitely see Toni Storm winning the title sometime in the near future. And with Io winning that match, and just being a triple threat match, it had a few good spots. It was a 6 out of 10 for me. Not bad. Just kind of an average triple threat match. And now, finally, the main event. We've got Finn Balor, the NXT champion, versus Pete Dunne. Right away, Finn Balor's ripped. This dude is like the most in shape guy in all of WWE right now. And in the past year and a half, I'd say, Pete Dunne has also gotten in incredible shape. Not that he wasn't in shape, but he just had that that bruiser body. Like he was definitely like his name's the Bruiserweight, and he definitely looked like it. But now he's like cut and he's thin. He looks strong, and he's just a badass fucking wrestler. So right off the get go, you know this is going to be a good match. Both are just, like I said, in outstanding shape. They both start by going back and forth. The few matches on this card start right off by going back and forth. But Balor was a lot more aggressive. Dunn would get beat up a little bit by Balor, and then would kind of come back with a move or two, and then Balor would just shut him down. He would just cut it right off immediately. Dunn takes control after Balor had the upper hand for a while, and then they stand up to a face-off. It was kind of weird since Balor was mostly in control, and then Dunn takes control, and then they stop. Like they were going back and forth, and then they just stopped going back and forth all of a sudden, which makes sense, but while you're watching the match, it was kind of like they should have I felt like they could have gone longer and then done the face-off. I don't know if they did it early or what, but right away, once Dunn does get the upper hand, he starts to focus on his jaw. Finn Balor broke his jaw, I think it was like 4 months ago, and it's apparently still not 100% legit. So he started going after that, which is always good for the story. You want to make sure that your opponent's injuries are focused on, especially if they're mentioned during any part of the storyline. You want to focus on that during the match. I mean, it's easy. It's a given. You want to do that. Throughout the match, Dunn continues with his signature joint manipulation. He takes your fingers, bends them back, bends them sideways. It looks fucking terrible when you're watching it on TV. It looks like he's literally breaking people's fucking fingers off. After that, Balor gets back into the advantage, going for his legs, going for Dunn's legs, and then he keeps on the legs. He keeps Dunn grounded. Dunn hits a couple suplexes. Then they start getting real stiff. They are getting real stiff. It's like they're actually fighting each other in the ring, like as if somebody said something shitty to the other guy, but you could just tell that these guys are just like getting into it, and it's always good to see that. Just like those hard forearms right to the jaw, to the neck. That stuff just looks brutal. And like I said, it's turned into a brawl, and then it starts going back and forth again. Powerbomb by Dunn, a sit-out powerbomb to a kick-out by Balor to end the back and forth. And then Balor stays in control again. This match is a lot of that. It's a lot of them just going back and forth, staying in control and then losing it. Just a tremendous match. Balor goes for a coup de grace on Dunn, and then this looked awesome. Dunn countered it into a triangle choke. I forget or can't even imagine how he did it, but I saw it, and it was hard for me to even understand how he did it, but he countered the coup de grace into the triangle, and then they both go for their finishes. They both counter. Finn goes for an abdominal stretch. Pete gets out and hits the bitter end. He hits his finish, and I honestly thought Pete Dunne was going to win right there, but Balor kicked out. Dunn tries for another power bomb, then Balor hits a DDT. Balor takes out Dunn's mouthpiece, and then hits him with a double face kick. Hits him with the coup de grace, then the 1916. That's when you know that's it. Balor retains. Balor hits three of his signature moves, one of them being the finish. I don't see Balor losing the title anytime soon. He is leading NXT right now on a charge, especially with the ratings. AEW has slightly gone down to NXT. NXT is showing some power when it comes to Wednesdays and their pay-per-views. So, yeah. I say that match was a 9 out of 10. Definitely going to be going down as one of the matches of the year. That is for sure. Really good back and forth match. They wrestled stiff and hard. It was a fucking awesome match. Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan come out and attack Balor on the ramp. What do you know? 3-on-1 pursues after the match. The refs can't stop it, of course. So this goes on for a couple minutes. And Undisputed Era come out. Undisputed Era come out to help Finn Balor. Oney Lorcan, Danny Burch, and Pete Dunne just kind of run away. Nothing happens. And when Balor realizes what's going on, he looks up to see Kyle O'Reilly, who had just had a title match with him. And they helped him up. They said, we show you respect, blah, blah, blah. Undisputed Era kind of stands as one in the ring. And Adam Cole fucking super kicks the shit out of Finn Balor. I was waiting for this. I had a feeling Undisputed Era was about to break up. Super kicks Finn Balor. Kyle O'Reilly gets very pissed. And then he super kicks Kyle O'Reilly. And then there's Roderick Strong just standing in the ring, not knowing what the fuck to do. I am waiting for this Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly feud. They had one in ROH, I believe. And it is fucking awesome. Overall, I really enjoyed this pay-per-view. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I enjoyed both Dusty Rhodes Classic tag final matches. I definitely would have liked to see Shotzi and Ember win that, but it was still a good match. Balor versus Dunn is amazing. The Johnny Gargano and Kashida match was very good as well. I'd say this was a very good way for them to start off their road to WrestleMania or TakeOver Brooklyn, whatever the fuck they want to call it. I definitely have high hopes for their TakeOver Brooklyn, if that's what they're... I don't even know if they're going to do it in Brooklyn. I'll be interested to see what they do there. But everything was super smooth. The stories made sense to the matches. Yeah, it was a good TakeOver. I'd say it was like 7.5 out of 8. Or 7.5 or 8 out of 10 for me. It was really good. I liked it. Also, I just want to give a huge shout out to my buddy Camo, who got me very inspired to get back into doing podcasts. He has a podcast called A Very Good Podcast, and you should definitely go check that out. I just wanted to give that big shout out real quick. Thank you, Camo.